My wife and I bought our dream house in 2020, a cozy little place with 3 rooms, a living room, a kitchen, a storage room, and a bathroom. We only used 2 of the rooms, keeping the 3rd one closed. We had a loyal pet dog named Teddy, who was always by our side. Strange things started happening almost immediately. We'd hear the bathroom tap turn on, or the shower start. Even when we were certain no one was in there, Teddy would bark at empty rooms, his fur bristling. Sometimes we'd hear faint footsteps in the kitchen, but there was nothing there. One day, my wife and I saw something truly terrifying. In the bathroom, there were small footprints leading from the tap to the bathtub, as if a little child had been playing. The prints were about the size of a 6 to 8-year-old's feet. We were both frozen in fear. The prints seemed to appear and disappear, as if they were being erased. A few days later, my wife had a disturbing dream. She saw a little girl crying in the closed room. The girl was wearing a white dress and had long, flowing hair. She looked so sad and scared. My wife could feel the girl's despair in her dream. We decided to investigate the house's history. We learned that a family had once lived there, including twin girls. One of the girls had passed away from cancer at the age of 6. We contacted the family and the local church to find out more about the girl and to seek guidance on how to help her soul find peace. The haunting of apartment 3B. There was a time when me and my mum moved around a lot. My dad was never really in the picture. He was usually drunk and hardly helped out. When I was about 7, Mum decided it was time to leave him behind. Since they were never married, it was easy for us to just walk away. We spent the next few years drifting from one place to another until Mum finally found a steady job and rented a small apartment. It wasn't much, but it was home. We painted the walls and made some small fixes the landlord allowed, even giving us a discount on the rent. Our neighbors were mostly older folks, but they were kind and welcoming. They'd sometimes invite us over for dinner, which was great, because there were times when we didn't have much to eat ourselves. Despite all the moving, things started to look better. I finally had my own room, which was new for me. I set up my toys in the corner and placed my bed right next to a big window. Mum was always worried I'd fall out, but I wasn't about to climb out a 3-story window. The first few nights were rough, though. I kept feeling like someone was watching me, especially with the window open to let in the summer breeze. I tried to shake off the weird feeling, thinking I just needed time to settle in. But by the first week, strange things started happening. My toys would be in different spots than where I'd left them, and picture frames would fall off the wall. I didn't tell Mum. I didn't want her to worry and move me out of the room. One hot night, while tossing and turning in bed, I felt something brush against my face. I thought it was just a bug, so I swatted at it. But when I opened my eyes, I saw a pair of feet in a long white dress hovering by the window. I froze and shut my eyes tight in fear. When I finally peeked again, it was gone. I tried to convince myself it was just a bad dream, but deep down, I knew what I saw was real. The next night, I decided to sleep on the floor. I huddled under a blanket with a flashlight, reading a comic book to distract myself. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew the blanket off my head. As I crawled to grab it, I saw a shadow cast on the floor by the moonlight. A chill ran down my spine. I slowly turned toward the window, and out of the corner of my eye I saw it again, the feet gently swaying. The sound of a rope creaking in the breeze made it clear what I was seeing. I could hear soft choking sounds and what seemed like bones cracking. Terrified, I whispered, "Go away. Please go away." I tried to block out the sounds, covering my ears and closing my eyes, but the noises grew louder until I couldn't take it anymore. I screamed for my mum, and within seconds she burst into the room, scooped me up, and we ran upstairs to our neighbors. Mum thought the old lady upstairs might have hung herself, but when we knocked on her door, she answered perfectly fine. After hearing what happened, the couple came down to check our room, but there was nothing there. The old man sighed and said, "Sorry, that's Amelia. She shows up now and then." We moved out soon after. Before we left, we learned Amelia was the sister of the woman upstairs. She had hung herself from her window, which was right above my room, after discovering her husband was cheating. Her sister moved in to keep Amelia's belongings, and the spirit had been scaring away tenants ever since. Even now, years later, I sometimes pass by that building and notice the apartment still sits empty most of the time. Occasionally a light will be on, hinting someone tried to live there, but they never stay long. The Red Band, a doctor worked late shifts at a hospital where patients were tagged with colored bands, green for the living, red for the deceased. One night, the doctor was asked to retrieve supplies from the hospital basement. He stepped into the elevator, only to find a patient already inside, quietly standing. It wasn't unusual for patients, especially long-term ones, to take late-night walks as long as they returned to their rooms by 10. The doctor politely smiled at the woman and pressed the button for the basement, noting that she hadn't selected a floor herself. He found it odd, wondering where she was headed. When the elevator doors opened at the basement level, the doctor noticed a man limping toward them. Instinctively, he quickly hit the button to shut the doors. The lift ascended, leaving the man behind as the doctor's pulse raced. "Why did you do that?" "He just wanted to get in," the woman asked, her voice sharp with irritation. The doctor's eyes were wide. "Did you see his wristband? It was red. He passed away last night. I know because I was the one who performed his surgery." The woman's expression changed as she slowly raised her arm, revealing a red band on her own wrist. She grinned, her eyes gleaming. "You mean like this? Who's in my bed?" It was bedtime, and as always, a father went to tuck in his 7-year-old son, knowing how much his little boy struggled to sleep without this nightly ritual. The room was softly lit, casting long shadows as the father stepped inside. His son lay beneath the covers, staring back at him with wide eyes and an unusually broad grin. "Everything okay, champ?" the father asked, feeling a strange unease but unsure why. The boy nodded, that eerie grin still stretching across his face. "Daddy, can you check for monsters under my bed?" he asked calmly. Amused, the father knelt down, humoring the request as he'd done so many times before. But when he looked beneath the bed, his heart froze. Curled up, trembling, was his real son, pale and terrified. In a shaky whisper, the boy under the bed pleaded, "Daddy, there's someone in my bed."